When you testified earlier, you said that you would be dealing with some of Advocate Johnson's testimony which pertains to you or your office. Okay. At paragraph 78, can you recount the details of the WhatsApp call you received from Advocate Johnson on 6 December 2024?
Before I respond, Chairperson, I would like to put context that this is in relation to the 4 Orlando dockets, 3 Orlando dockets and 1 Vilakazi dockets that were requested by Advocate Johnson from General Jacobs to actually go to IDEC. So to start with the testimony, on the 6th of December 2024, at 15:08, I received a WhatsApp call from Advocate Johnson, who requested, and I want to underline, my intervention in relation to IDEC dockets, which were kept in General Jacobs' safe, which will be Divisional Commissioner Inspectorate. And I think I paused to mention at this point that at the time this call was made, General Jacobs was the appointed chairperson of the NAT Joint Committee on ESCOM that was investigating maleficent that affected the performance of the utility. So in my mind, these dockets had to do with state capture because the specific mandate of IDEC as outlined in Section 28 of the NPA Act is that they will deal with serious complex and complex economic crimes. And I think the first thing was, why would General Jacobs keep the dockets in his safe? And this is again per protocol. I've got an annexure here that comes from his environment that says this is not the practice that we promote. Generals cannot keep dockets in there. Even if we work on them, we must give them back to investigators. And I'm not necessarily saying that he did something wrong. So my engagement was on specific that as the head of detectives, I had to intervene to allow IDEC to do their investigations. And bearing in mind that neither General Jacobs or Advocate Johnson specified what these dockets were all about. One of the provisions in that section says that it is a criminal offense for the director of IDEC to actually inform people about investigations that they are doing. I think that's what I would like. Should I proceed? I think for the sake of time.
Fine. So General, Lieutenant General.
Maybe let me add that General Jacobs was after I received the 2 letters from Advocate Johnson.
Lieutenant General, I need to take you to the letters. So those letters are contained at Annexure 13. They start Annexure HKS 13, and they start at page 96. Until page 100. So page 96 is the email. Yes. From you can speak to that email and then you can speak. Yeah.
Maybe before we get to the email, that Advocate Johnson then specified to me that they followed process in relation to getting the dockets. They engaged the DPC General Khumalo, who is responsible for crime detection in Gauteng. And I asked her to put that specific instruction or actually engagement in the letter, because that is the only provision on which I can be able to intervene. And she did so. And as you can see, the email was sent on the 6th of December, Friday at 15:39. And she attached 2 letters. The 2 letters, the first one on page 97 is addressed to me, where she is requesting my intervention to get the 4 dockets, as I have mentioned. And in paragraph 4, she mentioned that General Khumalo advised her team to collect the dockets from the detective commander at Vilakazi. And when they arrived, the dockets were with the DPCI. They went to the DPCI. The DPCI didn't have the dockets, but those were said to be kept in the safe of General Jacobs.
Perhaps for this, to take it one step at a time. You have now testified that you were requested to provide these dockets. You are not in the position to ask what is the purpose of these dockets being retrieved, because there are provisions that prohibit that. And at page 97 of the bundle, which is part of HKS 13, is a letter addressed to you. Who is that letter from?
It's from Advocate Johnson.
From Advocate Johnson. And what is the purpose of the letter? What is the subject line on?
The subject line is the request for case dockets, and these are the Orlando dockets.
Okay. At paragraph 2, the dockets are set out that are requested. Would you like to comment on the fact that there are 3 dockets mentioned in the subject line and that she had contacted you about? And why are there now 4 dockets at paragraph 2?
I can only say maybe it was an omission from their side, because even when she spoke to me, spoke about 4 dockets.
Okay. When you are requested dockets of this nature, are there reporting lines? Who else would have to be involved when a docket from Gauteng is being requested from your office?
It's either the PC or the DPC.
Okay.
Yes.
Who is the PC, Provincial Commissioner
That's General Mtombeni.
of? I'm asking about the Provincial Commissioner of Gauteng. Who?
Okay. It's General Mtombeni.
Okay. In this letter, at paragraph 4, it states that officials were advised by Major General Khumalo to collect these dockets from Detective Commander at Villiera SAPS. Who is Major General Khumalo?
Major General Khumalo is the Deputy Provincial Commissioner, deputizing Mtombeni, responsible for crime detection.
Okay. So this instruction, as per paragraph 4, would have come from Major General Khumalo. Okay. On the next page, the letter is signed 6 December, which is as set out in your statement. On the next page is a letter that looks exactly like the one that we have just read. But who is this letter addressed to?
This letter, which was attached to the email on my letter, was addressed to the Deputy Provincial Commissioner, Crime Detection General Khumalo.
Okay. And the letter relates to, what is the subject line?
It's still the same, exactly. It's a copy and paste.
Okay. At paragraph 3, can you read that request into the record?
This office requests the original dockets as a matter of agency.
And that was the request to Major General Khumalo. And that it is dated the 6th of December, exactly like your letter was addressed the 6th of December. You can then continue at paragraph 82 of your statement.
Based on these 2 letters, then I engaged General Jacobs and informed him of the request for those dockets. And I need to mention, Chairperson, that I am not General Jacobs' supervisor. In actual fact, in terms of the rank, he's my senior, because he was appointed in 20, I think, way before me. So in talking to him, it was in my capacity as the DevCom detectives. I'm saying this because at the committee it was said that I am his supervisor. I am not, on the contrary, actually, he would have been my senior. And then we spoke about the dockets, that actually he should hand over the dockets. Advocate Johnson mentioned that he mustn't, interfere with criminal matters, and my thinking was that they could even charge him for defeating the ends of justice. And again, at this time, neither of them, not Jacobs, not Advocate Johnson, specified what these dockets were in relation to, and they were not bound by law to do that. I only got to know that these dockets were in relation to the arrest of General Khumalo when General Mkhwanazi called me. I remember I was from overseas on the 26th of July, Saturday, and asked me if I knew that these dockets were in relation, or actually these are the dockets that led to the arrest of General Khumalo and others. And I was totally shocked. At that point in time, I felt the need to then inform National Commissioner to say, actually, this is the email that came from Advocate Johnson. At that time, if I may mention it here, advocate that the National Commissioner looked at the time at which the dockets were requested and said to me that this was at the time when the PKTT team was conducting a takedown operation at Senthumule's home. So he drew that inference, but we didn't discuss the matter further.
At the next section, you deal with, what we had not quite dealt with is why were these dockets being requested from you and not from Lieutenant General Jacobs? Why were they not asked? Why did Advocate Johnson not directly request these from
remember,
Jacobs?
The custodian from the province already according to Johnson, gave a go-ahead. So the next person to intervene is Nashina.
Where was Jacobs, is the question.
He was the DevCom inspectorate, but responsible for that ESCOM project.
So he was away at the ESCOM project, and this is the reason why they were being requested from you.
That's the reason why I thought, yeah.
Okay. If we can now go to paragraph 84. Paragraph 84 of your statement and 84 and 85 deal with the legal opinion.
As I said, Chairperson, that my coming here was to clarify issues. One of the issues raised was that if there was already work done on the dockets, why would I have given General Jacobs a request to hand them over? And this is specifically because at the time of my intervention, there was nothing in writing, no information to me that these dockets were being worked on. And as you can see, the final letter signed to Inspectorate was the 11th of December, 2024, and this was post my intervention on the dockets matter. So at the time, again, I think, Honorable Sangoni is not here. It was not at my disposal.
At Annexure HKS 14, which starts at page 101 of the bundle, you attach a document when dealing with that section. It is an information note. Could you comment on this note? What was the purpose of attaching it in this section?
In relation to the relevance to my testimony, I won't go into the contents. I will just talk about the dates. The date at which the intervention took place was the 6th, and the date on which the legal opinion was signed is the 11th. So which means it was signed after the intervention was requested.
Okay. From paragraph 86 to 89, you deal with the challenges you faced post the testimony of Advocate Johnson. What were these challenges?
I followed the proceedings, and I think when Advocate Johnson was asked by Advocate Arendse, Senior Counsel Arendse, that they took 7 dockets, and I think her response was in the affirmative. And my recollection was, but we only gave 4 dockets, then why would they take 7 dockets? So that was the first challenge I had with her testimony. And it's something that then post, I think she made a request to come and see me. We discussed, and I asked that she actually submit a supplementary affidavit clarifying the discrepancy between the dockets requested versus the dockets taken.
Okay. At paragraph 88, you engaged Major General Khumalo regarding his involvement in the IDEC, with IDEC on these documents. We've read the letter which showed that Major General Khumalo was involved. What was his response? To that effect, you've annexed a document at HKX 15, which can be found at page 108 of the bundle, 108.
I think during advocate's testimony in her engagement with Honorable Source, I think the issue of this letter of General Khumalo came in and Advocate Johnson didn't seem to be forthcoming on the letter. I then engaged General Khumalo to actually ask his engagement with IDEC that led to him saying that they can come and get the dockets. And to my surprise, General Khumalo informed me that he has never had any engagement with Advocate Johnson, nor anybody from IDEC on these dockets. And therefore, this denial for me implied that the letter as submitted by Advocate Johnson did not represent General Khumalo's sentiment. Again, in my discussion with Advocate Johnson, I did clarify the matters to say that she will then have to provide a supplementary affidavit to clarify the matters as raised. Okay. You were not here, Honorable Sangon. I remember at some point, and I think when you said no, General Senthumule interfered, I'm like, in my whole life, this is for the first time I hear that about me. And I think it's what prompted me to provide response and a perspective to the committee. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Lieutenant General Senthumule. So you've attached Annexure 15 in support of the fact that Major General Khumalo was not involved in the IDEC investigation as it was stated before this committee.
Yes.
Okay. And the statement, if just for the sake of completion, at page 109 is dated the 26th of February, 2026.
Yes.
Okay. We now move on to the next section. This section, the heading does not necessarily speak to the heading of this section is allegations raised by Lieutenant General Sibiya during his testimony at Matlala. The allegations that were made speak to some of the work that we are doing as part of this committee that we're investigating, and that is specifically infiltration of law enforcement by civilians. And so the first allegation that you talk about is that perhaps I can just ask you directly, do you know Mr. Vusimuzi Matlala?
I can say safely before this platform, I do not know Mr. Matlala. I think I have seen Mr. Matlala at General Sibiya's party in September, and I spoke to him once when we were asking for sponsorship. I think that also I'll cover. I don't have a relationship. We live in time of technology where we can triangulate. And I had said before, and I said again, I can be triangulated. I don't know Mr. Matlala.
Okay.
Neither does he know me.
That you set out at paragraph 91, but we have to, for the sake of clarification, perhaps distinguish between knowing someone and having met somebody. You mentioned General Sibiya's party. What is the purpose of mentioning General Sibiya's party, and when was it? And do you want, if you can perhaps just give
maybe I must start by mentioning that General Sibiya is a person who likes to host parties. And at these parties, it's not only me who's invited. He invites all of us, from the National Commissioner, General Khumalo himself. I remember at one party we were sitting together, General Musikidi, General Nkua, General Mamuteti, so he invites the generals. And I think in the spirit of building a team, we would attend those parties. But on the specific one in September, It was myself, General Tema. General Tema is the former head of basic police training. I know General Shibiri was there. I think General Fani also was there, but I didn't see him for long. And I know there was Advocate Chauke as well, who was there because he was introduced to me. It was for the first time that I met him at that party by General Sibiya. At that party, General Tema was sitting with me. General Tema is a friend of mine and who will come if she's called to attest that on that specific day, because of my on and off, General Sibiya and I were like on and off. Sometimes we are good, sometimes we are like extremely not good. So I said to her, I don't want to go alone. I've never gone alone. I always take my sister or take General Mamuteti sometimes. So both were not available. General Tema came with me. And on that specific day, as we were sitting, a lady dressed in white came to join us. And General Tema said to me, this is Tsakane Matlala, and she used to be Dr. Pet's mother's driver. So we met, we said the three of us. Later on, I think Mr. Matlala was standing, then she showed me that that's the husband of Tsakane, Mr. Matlala, not giving a name. And nobody introduced me to him. So
Was this the first time that you had learned of his
yes,
of his name?
Even seeing him, not meeting him, it was for the first time. And he was standing, I think, just close to the swimming pool.
Okay. At paragraph 96 of your statement, you say that you only then got to know his full name. When General Tema shared his details. What were the circumstances of General Tema sharing his details after that pointing out session?
Before I get there, I need to clarify this. I believe in constitutionalism. And I think one of the things that key principles there is nobody's above the law, and as public officials, we are accountable. So in this platform, I have no reason to deny knowing a person. You know, I want to just clarify that part. And then secondly, and as we were busy planning our awards, we then had issues with the sponsor, particularly for my award, the DevComs awards and the DNC's awards. So
perhaps, Lieutenant General, I really apologize for interjecting. What we did not set out is the timing of the party, Lieutenant General Sibiya's party. When were you invited to this party? I mean, not when were you invited, when did you attend this party?
It was in September 2024. I can't remember the date. Yes.
You may proceed.
Yes. And, okay.
I wanted to make a quick follow-up. You meet a person at the party, a lady is wearing white, you are shown some stranger across the pool, that guy is Mr. Matlala. And you remember that. Like, I mean, someone should have said to you, is Mr. Matlala, for the name to ring bell. Someone can just say to me, that's so and so. And then I pass. And then I get asked about a person. Oh, I was told it's so and so 6 months, 8 months after that. Because if it's not somebody who's relevant or significant, there's no way you can be told this is so and so, and you remember their names after so many months after being introduced, even from a distance. When they said that's Mr. Matlala and this is Mr. Matlala's wife, what was discussed? What made it so special for you to memorize that name to an extent that you can even remember it and even where you were sitting on that day?
Thank you, Honorable Malem. I want to start it from scratch again. So we went into a party. We went to sit. I think there were people everywhere. And this lady came to join us. General Tema knows this lady. And she introduces her to me as Tsakane Matlala and specifies that this lady used to be Dr. Pet's mother's driver. That's the context. And as we were sitting and chatting, and out of the blue, she says to me, there's the husband of Tsakane, Mr. Matlala. So there was no discussion, there was no interest. And as I said that, Mr. Malema, I do believe in constitutionalism, that nobody is above the law. So I wouldn't come to this committee and say something that isn't and make it that it is. There was no discussion. On that specific day, we sat in one corner and we left. So there was no engagement. Nobody, unlike Advocate Chauke, who was sitting close to us, Sibiya came and introduced me to him. But on this one, that's how it panned out. I submit, Chair. Thank you.
Yeah, let's proceed.
Lieutenant General Senthumule, you were now explaining when that General Tema subsequently forwarded Mr. Matlala's details to you. What were the circumstances surrounding this? What was the purpose of her sending these details to you?
General Tema and I are very close. So we actually meet over the weekends and sometimes even during the week. She had just resigned and I expressed to her that we actually are struggling, and it's not the first time that she would do that, with sponsors for our awards. So in the award ceremony, you will then have a special category that is actually based on the discretion either of the National Commissioner, the Provincial Commissioner, the DNC, or the DEFCON. So for that category, we didn't have a sponsor. And she suggested to me that I approach Mr. Matlala, and she gave me his name on that day and said it's Vusi Matlala, and she gave me the number, the details.
Okay. At paragraph 97 of your statement.
Maybe if I may add that General Tema is prepared to put in a statement in support of what I say. Under oath, I may add.
Thank you, Lieutenant General Senthumule. At paragraph 97 of your statement, you set out the circumstances that you have just related.
Sorry, Advocate. I was saying we shouldn't miss that acting chair, but we should seek confirmatory affidavit
Yes.
from advocate, from
General Tema.
General Tema, yes.
That's not at all, Malema. Thank you. We can proceed.
Thank you, Acting Chair.
You may proceed. Paragraph 97, is your response fully covered?
As the Divisional Commissioner, if you are hosting awards, you don't personally invite people. The people are invited through the LOC chairperson and the people who are just dealing with the guest list. So in this regard, General Manamela was the LOC chairperson, and for that reason, because of the sponsorship, which happened after the 27th, I think, then I asked her to also extend an invite to Mr. Matlala and his wife.
I think we've jumped a step.
Okay.
Before you get to invite Mr. Matlala as a sponsor, how did you then approach him? The question was lost at the place where General Tema, where Major General Tema has now forwarded his personal details. Is it the norm within SAPS that you would approach service providers to assist with
Yes.
awards for the SAPS?
Okay,
Perhaps you can explain that.
Thank you. Through the chairperson, Chair, if you may, acting Chair, if you may allow me. We are following allegations. I think what you are asking is covered in the next allegation. That is the issue of the sponsorship. So on this one, he says, I deny knowing Mr. Matlala, yet I invited him. Yeah, so the one of how then I got to contact him is covered in the next allegation, which says that we accepted a sponsor from Mr. Matlala, from Medicare 24.
Yes, Lieutenant General, I know we're not necessarily following the sequence as set out in your statement, but we're following your evidence chronologically.
Yes.
Because you would have had to approach him for sponsorship before you invite him. So if we can just follow that chronological sequence.
Post General Tema giving me the details, there was an LOC meeting. I think we were a few days to the event, and General Manamela came into my office. We're still discussing the issue of sponsorship. And in her presence, I then said that General Tema had said we can approach this Mr. Matlala. And I said he works for Mediclinic. General Manamela, my staff officer, who's my head of office, was with me at the time. And General Manamela said, no, it is called Medicare 24. So I asked that then we write a letter as per the National Instruction 6 of 2018 that regulates protocols on donations. And that letter is also annexed on the 22nd of November under my signature, was then sent to General Fani, who's our Divisional Commissioner, Supply Chain Management. This is the protocol that we apply to getting a sponsorship. That letter was sent on the 22nd. On the 27th of November, all of these are...
General, before you move on, we
Sorry,
just
ma'am.
need to make sure that everybody is on the same page about the letter you're talking about.
Okay.
The letter is annexed as, it's marked Annexure HKS 16, and it can be found at page 110 of the paginated bundle.
The response for our request was then submitted from supply chain on the 27th of November, and attached to the response, it's like a vetting form that indicates that none of the identified companies are currently under evaluation and may therefore be approached for donations, and it is signed by General Fani on the 25th. I'm not sure it's fine, but it's signed on the 25th of November, 2024.
Now, that letter is Annexure HKS 17.
Yes.
Which is at page 111 of the paginated bundle. The signature you are talking about that you're referring to, which you say was signed by Lieutenant General Fani, is at the bottom of the page, and it is dated 27 November 2025.
2024.
2024.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, yes, because in the body of the email, it talks about a letter dated 2024. Yeah, the year. It's just not clear.
Okay.
Okay. So if we pause there, that letter, what does it actually address? What does it address?
It actually then gives you authority to approach a sponsor. So you don't approach a sponsor prior that approval.
Okay.
Yes.
Prior to this celebration that was or a party that was at Lieutenant General Sibiya's house, you testified that you had not seen, because you say you still maintain you don't know Mr. Matlala, but he was pointed out to you. So prior, this engagement at this party where he was then pointed out to you, you had no idea that he was actually a service provider at SAPS.
No.
So why would you approach a person that you would have met a month earlier as a sponsor?
General Tema was the head basic police training. And I think this is where they do the assessments for trainees. And I suppose that's where Mr. Matlala's contract would have been whether accepted or being dealt with. So as a detective, I had no clue on that particular contract, but also I had no clue on what his services were. Only that he was a service provider for SAPS, and therefore General Tema said maybe we can approach him to sponsor.
And although you had not met him and you did not know him, had you heard of him as a person in Pretoria, in Gauteng? Had you heard of the name Vusimuzi Cat Matlala?
No.
You'd never?
No.
Okay.
And I think this is where I'm a proponent for counterintelligence, Honorable Malema. Sometimes we say things, but if push comes to shove, Honorable James mentioned once in this committee that maybe you should have forensic investigators, because we'll come here, say things, deny and refute and whatever. If push comes to shove, some of us must be taken for polygraph so that we can actually test what we are saying. By the way, I'm a proponent of defensive counterintelligence, so I do believe that it's a method that works. Thank you.
But some of you are trained to pass polygraph.
I wouldn't talk about the deceivers. I think I would speak for myself as a proponent for ethical conduct within the public service. I think those who are trained should not even be in the environment, Honorable Malema. That's why we've got problems today. Thank you.
Let's hear Pangazita.
Thank you, Chair. I'm trying to actually, join the dots here. The general actually has just told us that there has never been any, even physical, interaction with Mr. Matlala. But she goes on to actually ask him for a sponsorship. And secondly, she goes on to drop him a call. Where did she get the number for Mr. Matlala from? What did Matlala say? I mean, whom was he talking to? Matlala, in his mind, how would he know that he is talking to whom he is talking to if they had not met anyway? And actually ask for a sponsorship. It's a big thing to ask for a sponsorship. It means that you must have actually had some interaction with me for you to be courageous enough to approach me for a sponsorship. So if you have not met with me, you have not spoken to me, but suddenly you drop a call, you ask for sponsorship. Something is not adding up for me, at least.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just to respond to Honorable Mwango, and I want to refer you to paragraph 105 of my statement, that maybe starting with the numbers that I used were given to me by General Tema. Hence, I'm saying that a confirmatory affidavit can be provided in this regard. General Tema was the head of basic policing, so she would have come across Mr. Matlala as a service provider. So that's where it basically came from. So she gave me the detail, and she's the one who proposed that actually maybe we can approach him. Upon getting the approval from supply chain, I called him with my caller ID visible, so he would have my number. And I introduced myself and told him where I got his numbers from and told him the brief of the call. And in that call, I did say that actually we would like, if it's possible for them to sponsor for the DevCom and the DNC's awards. That's basically how it took place. And in response, he said to me, it's fine, they can sponsor, but somebody from his office will call me. I think you'll see in the emails, I was called by a Mr. James Murray. Mr. Murray does indicate that we will speak. Oh no, did I say James or Murray? Sorry.
You said Maria.
Maria.
James.
No, I said, oh, no, Honorable James. The name is James. The surname is Murray. No relation whatsoever to you. Thank you.
So,
Yes.
General, for the sake of completion, perhaps.
Let's say, Honorable Malema, did you want to make a follow-up?
Yes, Chair. I mean, Lieutenant General, in your CV, highly decorated intelligence person. And part of your training is to be aware of the environment you are in, your surrounding and all of that. It is not believable that you could see Mr. Matlala and not pick it up that there's something different about this guy as an intelligence person. Because Mr. Matlala's presence, I've been to places where Mr. Matlala is. You can't miss him. Because of those 100 bodyguards he was telling us about, and there's just too much activity around him, including of white bodyguards looking after this black man. And there's no way an operative like you, who's trained to handle agents, who's trained to handle agents and knows what is what here, because in your training, by virtue of being that, when your body is sitting, your eyes are everywhere, including at the back in front, because your training includes that. There's no way you didn't notice. There's just something about this guy. And from there, you lose interest completely to want to follow up as to what is actually the story of this guy, because there's something different about him. And then from there, you even ask for sponsorship from him because you're not aware of this kind of a character you're dealing with after you met it for the first time. You shouldn't have made even a follow-up after meeting him for the first time. If you meet him once, Chair, you will not want to have anything to do with him because of what goes around him at that moment, not after, at that moment. So General should have picked it up that there's something with this guy. To even go back to him to ask for sponsorship.
Yeah, no, before you respond, Honorable Sangon.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I want to call a point of order, and I think this point of order is on you. You are failing us, Chair. We've always agreed that during the leading of evidence, we will ask clarity-seeking questions. Now, the whole day today, you've allowed members to come in, especially Honorable Malema, not asking clarity, and the rest of us are sitting here being very disciplined. The same member complains about the time of the evidence leader and still comes in the additional time that you sought to compensate for the time that we've taken. I really think you need to help us, Chair. We want to hear the evidence of the witness being led by the evidence leader. It's 1:30 now. You are going to say she must stop. But in the last 15 minutes, she's been interrupted again by the member who was complaining. Chairperson, please, can you assist us?
Okay, let me.
If she's looking for me, she will find me.
No, Honorable.
Because I've been asking clarity-seeking questions,
First,
items that are
No, this is
on the
wrong.
agenda.
Honorable Malema.
I've never asked anything new.
It's not a clarity-seeking question. You are following
You are
up.
not the one to determine this.
Now,
Not,
you are not running this
no, you are not
committee.
going to determine that.
You
The
are
chair.
not running this committee.
The chair will determine that, not
The
you.
evidence leader is not going to talk when you
But
want
the
to talk.
chairperson is going
Quiet
to
because you
decide
want to
that,
talk.
not
No.
you. This is not an ANC meeting. This is
not
a
an
committee
EFF gathering
that is going to
either.
be decided by the chair,
You
not
allow
you.
the chair to chair. You are not the
Chairperson,
chair, Honorable Malema.
You allowed me to make follow-ups. I did exactly that through you.
Are not supposed to
Not
be
through a
following
backdoor arrangement.
clarity-seeking questions. You think none of us
I
have questions
asked
that we want to ask, but
clarity-seeking
we're restricting
questions
the process.
through you, Chair. I asked clarity-seeking questions through you. And if she has got nothing to say, she must keep quiet. Because if we have something to say, we'll say it. And we've been saying it through you. I'm not going to be directed by her on when to come in, not to come in. As long as you allow me, I'm going to do that, not her.
Awazel, how much time do you need to conclude evidence?
Chairperson, we are at the tail end. The question that will be posed to the witness now deals with sponsorship. And then the following question, these questions can be asked as individual questions. So I would say I've got 3 questions left. She can speak to them.
Chair, I asked a follow-up question, which needs an answer.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you, Honorable Malema. I think as a trained intelligence officer, I do agree with you fully, and I must say that this was not, at that time, all of these things that we are seeing playing out were not there. And I must say additionally that Mr. Matlala didn't come towards me or meet me, and I didn't get to see him. And on that day, I didn't see any bodyguards around him. And if maybe I can say, for me, he was facing the other direction, and he's not a big person. That's all that I saw. But the person that I totally saw was the person I was sitting with, General Tema, next to her, it was the wife. So I cannot talk more about what I saw. I think for me, it would really fail me because I didn't see him at all. Actually, the first time I saw his picture was on the newspapers when now things started coming up. Thank you, Honorable Malema. Thank you.
Lieutenant,
Can I be tempted to take it forward? Maybe, Honorable Malema, a lesson from this would be that I think it's not even about training, it's that as a person, that when actually such things happen, what is the takeaway out from the organization? Particularly when we approach sponsors and we don't know them, that maybe things can be done differently instead of just going through supply chain. Because we are sitting here today, I think because we didn't do our proper diligence individually before we push the back to supply chain. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Lieutenant General, just still on the same topic, you then testified that Mr. Matlala sponsored your awards. At Annexure AKS 18, you deal with the letter from Mr. James Murray. If you can just speak to what was sponsored, how many of those items were sponsored, and how were they distributed?
12 bar fridges were sponsored, and these were specifically for the special awards of the DNC Crime Detection General Sibiya and myself, the DEVCOM Detective and Forensic Services. Those were delivered after the event because of time, and I think there is a distribution list that is attached here. In our calculation, we made one misnomer. For the Eastern Cape team that received, we counted 3 people and there were only 2. So there was a fridge that was left. And normally when such gifts are left, they are kept for the following year. But the DNC having been new with us, I think General Sibiya did a lot in terms of helping us improve performance. So I used my discussion to ask him if, as probably an award from myself, he would take the fridge, and he said yes. That's why then his name will be here.
Is it standard practice that if there is a sponsorship within SAPS for awards, like the sponsor, a service provider has sponsored for a specific purpose, that you would then have a discretion to exercise in whom you then give the left what is remaining to? Should you not be requesting the exact number that you need? Why was there a leftover fridge?
As I said, for example, we thought that there's going to be 4 recipients from the Eastern Cape and only 3. It is the discretion of the divisional commissioner, as you say. You know, I didn't see anything anomalous in acknowledging his efforts in turning the program around. I think for the members of the portfolio committee, they would know that the detective was struggling, and when he was there, I think there was much improvement. So for me, it was just a way of saying thank you, motivating him as my senior to do more.
Okay.
At the time, that was my reasoning.
Okay. Still on questions on Mr. Matlala.
Yes.
This will now cover paragraphs 120 to 128 of your statement. I will just ask the question directly and you can comment. Did Mr. Matlala pay for a Brazilian what is it? BBL,
Yes.
a BBL surgery for you?
If the chair can allow me before I respond, I actually want to stand up. People have been dying to see this BBL. They were expecting Tebogo Tobejane, you know, Faith in Ketsi. And I must say, Chair, I've actually had more guys approaching me now over the phone to say, can we go out? So I think everybody wants to test drive. I wouldn't mind standing. I wouldn't. That has become a national asset, so it must be seen. Before I respond to the question, I'm not sure if you see it, if it's there, but I don't see it. Thank you very much.
Actually, one DM of the police showed me your picture and said, what is BBL here?
Exactly my point. But I think, Chairperson, on a serious note now on this particular matter, you said it's paragraph 120, no?
from paragraph 120 of your statement, and the question is, did Mr. Matlala pay for a Brazilian butt lift for you?
Yeah, and I must read this because it was for me a sore point in my career that I could just be taken so low after working so hard to be where I am with my integrity intact up until that moment when somebody thought under oath he could just get away with it. I wish to submit to this committee that it is rather gravely unfortunate that I have to respond to this. And for me, I must say, Mr. Matlala, the cybercrime, you can actually, cyber, what do you call them? Competencies. You can trace the money that I paid for my procedures. And I've given all of those statements as evidence to the evidence leaders. It's available for the committee to see, from my credit card to my check card to Dr. Pett, who actually did my procedures. I'm not shy, honorable members, to say I take care of myself. Being a police officer doesn't mean that you can just give up and people see us. We've got young women who must look at us as leaders, that actually I can do the job. We model the badge. So if I had to do this for myself, Honorable Malema, there are times when I wear that uniform and I carry the firearm and I'm like, no, damn, I look good. You know, there are times where I also, like you, I don't see it, you know, but it's all about my body, my decision, and what I deem fit as a woman at my level, with the money that I work hard for, not seeing my kids. If I can give an example to this committee, my son almost committed suicide on Sunday as I was about to come here. I don't know what my kids are going through. He was in ICU for the better part of the week. And I think advocate was there actually at some point talking to me when it happened. So if I take my money to feel better, I'm not going to apologize to anybody. Yes, it can be a laughing stock for a moment. My biggest problem is that it was said under oath by a senior official of the South African Police Services. I do have the dates, I think for the sake of time, Chairperson, the procedure was done on the 16th of October in the afternoon. I went to work, and I took leave. General Sibiya is correct, because my back had pins, I couldn't sit properly. But I don't think it's something that for me he should have rode on as a man with a badge of honor. And an allegation that he just threw from nowhere to say that Mr. Matlala paid for it. In 2023, Honorable Sangun, I've not even seen Mbangazit. I've not even seen him at the time. And it is paraded on the global platform to say this general who represents this flag that I wear every day. I wear this every day because I represent my people. When I go to Abu Dhabi and I sit, I represent South Africa in terms of diplomacy. I'm not going to be sorry for what I do to look good. And maybe also juxtaposing General Sibiya with Brigadier Majeng. I don't even know what Ozempic looks like. You can see advocate, Honorable Sangoni, I think I was built for show off. I was not built to be normal. I don't know what Ozempic, for this thing to be paraded and my name to be attached to it. It is rather gravely unfortunate. Lastly, I want to request the committee and the world at large, because I've been getting calls from as far as Paris, from as far as Tanzania, people asking what is going on, that you see these allegations for what they are, with an intent to damage me, my reputation, and also a deliberate attack on my credibility and integrity. I submit, Chair. Thank you.
Lieutenant General, thank you for clarifying. I would like to now ask you to just deal with the final part of your statement. I will ask you just one question and you can speak to that question.
just before.
Honorable Malema.
Thank you, sir. Now that you strongly feel that Sibiya lied under oath, as a Lieutenant General, what have you done about it? Because you know lying under oath is a crime. What have you done about it?
Thank you very much, Honorable Malema. Two processes that I'm pursuing. One is legal and the one is criminal. I think I will provide feedback to the committee based on my engagement with my counsel on the two matters. Actually, I am mentioning the fact that he's a senior officer because in my capacity as a woman at that level, the ones who are coming after me shouldn't be afraid that their colleagues will chastise them for things that they think is better for themselves. Thank you, Honorable Malema, and thank you, Chair.
Okay, Chair, let me, the evidence reader finish. I'll let the evidence reader finish, it's fine.
Lieutenant General Senthumule.
There was a hand.
I was saying, Chair, it's fine. I'll come later.
Lieutenant General Senthumule, the last part that I would like to deal with in your evidence, in your statement, is relating to the allegation that you authorized and approved overtime claims for Warrant Officer Monageng and Warrant Officer Segodi in May 2023 without verification that the protection services were allocated or rendered, thus failing to exercise due diligence in ensuring overtime claims were supported by objective proof, that proof was rendered. Do you have any comments to that statement?
I think the video that I got said I employed ghost workers and it's on TikTok. And I'm thinking, really now, I need to clarify this, Chairperson. Early 2023, the National Commissioner informed me through a telephone call that there was a member, I would call him Captain M, in my division, Detective and Forensic Services, whose life was under threat as he was a witness in a corruption matter in forensic services. And this member required protection. One of the things that happened to the member was that his kids' pictures were taken from school and were sent to him as a threat. And I think he experienced issues from that. Then he was hospitalized. These people unknown, they took the pictures of him and saying to him that they will find him wherever he is. For that reason, I then was asked to ensure that Captain M is protected. In this regard, General Kumalo, who's the head of CI, and General Matlala were engaged. A TRA was conducted, and General Matlala provided security. So those two members were attached throughout the 4 months to Captain M. There is evidence in this regard. The member's wife also could be engaged, Honorable Malema, if I think we need, what did you call it? A confirmatory affidavit. So the security was for them. One of the recommendations from the TRA was that they be relocated or be put into a safe house. However, because the wife is working around Pretoria and the kids go to school in Pretoria, for that reason, the wife felt that actually security that is being provided was enough. So these members were deployed around Captain M 24/7. There's no way where I signed a claim for overtime. The only claim I signed for overtime is for the members who are sitting behind me, who are working in my office. However, for my office and those members, I then signed an overtime application. Before you work overtime, you need to be authorized. So that's the only thing I signed. And the fact that General Sibiya then went to open a case of fraud and corruption with no suspect, I think that's what led the matter to be a problem. The National Commissioner was engaged, who actually encouraged us to talk. I think to date, I've not received any report from IPID. I did ask, I think on the 26th of February, and I was told that the matter is under investigation. But as far as I know, I never employed any ghost workers. And also in terms of my work, I will never abuse my office. I think for those who know me, they'll know I don't abuse my office for any reason. Thank you, Chair. I submit.
Thank you, Chairperson. The evidence, the supporting documents that Lieutenant General Senthumule has provided in support of what the submission the evidence she has given can be found from page 137 of the bundle until 163 of the bundle. Thank you very much, Chairperson. This concludes the leading of evidence.
Are you done, Kawaza? Are you done, General Senthumule?
Thank you, Chair. Maybe before we conclude, I actually listened to Advocate Sangoni when General Musikidi was here saying that we should provide at least recommendations. We do, so you see, maybe my second point will note that this also leads to institutional buffering because we don't work, we sit and listen to this deliberation, particularly if they're going to affect us. I think in my recommendations, I said that SAPS ought to use this opportunity to shake the baobab tree, because obviously I think there is chaff in the baobab tree. And I think this will be for the purpose of resetting and regeneration. And in other words, what I mean is that we should take a bold step as a country that has significance, consequence, and repercussions for those who are found to be on the adverse. And definitely we can set up the process for SAPS reforms and reposition SAPS as a credible organization, trusted and respected by all. So in other words, this just shouldn't be a process, but it should reset how we take SAPS forward. As a person who was involved in the NSF project, we did research, I think with Minister Soju at the time, where we found that actually within SAPS reforms didn't take place, it was only integration. So maybe we need to then say, what is SAPS in serving our people in this democratic dispensation? The second one is that we should leverage on the private sector business ecosystem. As SAPS, we don't have resources. So maybe again, if we rebrand ourselves, I think we'll get more support from the private sector for us to be able to fulfill our mandate. The issue of institutional buffering. Honorable Mateis once asked a question about vetting, and I'm surprised he didn't ask me today, Honorable Mateis, about vetting. Maybe let me address it now. When you get the vetting certificate, you are vetted against a particular function that you are performing. What makes you vulnerable or puts you at risk? But that certificate doesn't give you integrity. Integrity comes from within yourself. Integrity is not defined by declaring that I have integrity. People see it. So in dealing with this problem, I think we need to reset counterintelligence. Honorable Barnard at some point said that this is an intelligence failure. If counterintelligence is strengthened in the way it should be, particularly both offensive and defensive, that will then help us to deal with problems proactively than for us to be where we are today as an organization. I submit, Chair. Thank you.